welcome back to our channel. So we're getting ready to jump into the month of June, and I wanted to help those who are interested in doing the Dave Ramsey zero-based budget plan. So welcome back to my channel. If you're new around here, my name is Shakema. I'd love to have you as a part of my YouTube community, so I'm going to ask you to go ahead and hit that red subscribe button. Also hit the little bell, that way you never miss an upload from us. So just to tell you a little bit about myself, I'm a single mom. I work full-time as a high school teacher, and I'm also the teacher and principal of our homeschool. So I homeschool my kids full-time, and a lot of people ask me, how do I do that? And I simply say, I'm single. But over the last 6 to 7 years, my kids and I, really me, has been on a debt-free journey. I have been separated and divorced for about 9 years now, and there was some debt incurred in that marriage that I took on after that marriage was dissolved. It was left on me, and I just decided not to fight about it. And I asked the Lord to help me be able to not just ignore the debt, but to pay the debt. In that time, since I started doing Dave Ramsey, I took a class through my church called Financial Peace University. My kids and I have become debt-free to the point that I only owe a small student loan. It is right at $7,076, and I pray that I will be able to pay that off by next year. With that being said, the only other debt we have is our home, and we were actually fortunate enough to buy a home 2.5 years ago. We worked hard, we got our credit score up so that we would actually qualify, and not just barely qualified, like we really did well to get to this place. It took a lot of hard work, it took a lot of time, but I'm here to show you that you can do it. Whatever your financial goals are, you can meet those. It just takes a little bit of planning, a whole lot of praying, and it takes you to get started. Even if it's baby steps, I still tell people baby steps are steps too. And how fortunate that Dave Ramsey shares with us his baby steps to debt freedom. So if you're interested in learning how to do your budget for the very first time, or if you're jumping back on the budget bandwagon, or you budget very faithfully but you're looking for some tips or tricks or whatever it is that your financial goals are that you want to achieve, join me for this brief tutorial. Okay, everybody, so I was just looking online for a different budget sheet. I have been using the Dave Ramsey zero-based budget sheet formulas for a long time, but I'm a once-a-month employee getting paid. So I was looking for a way to track my expenses week by week, and what I was doing, or the sheet I was using, and I've used it faithfully for the last 6 years, wasn't telling me my weekly breakdown. So I went online and did a Google search, and I found this budget sheet called MYMT Personal Budget Sheet, Tracking Weekly Expenses, Final Version 1, January 2004. So what I'll do is I will link this sheet in the description box below. And if you're interested, you can download it. It is a download. It doesn't take you out to another site, but you do have to have Microsoft Excel on your computer. So this is how it populated. It just says personal budget worksheet, spending plan. It gives you the month. Then it breaks it down into categories for you. So you have an income category. Then you have expenses, which it breaks it up into living and household. Then you have regular payments. These are probably your variable expenses, things that you have every month and you know they're coming. And then you have your food expenses, personal expenses, they just broke it down, transportation expenses, then what is considered your miscellaneous categories, then your total expenses, and then your income minus total expenses. So the thing that I like about this particular sheet is all of the formulas are already put in for you. If the cell is colored, like these yellow ones here, if it's colored, you can't change them. But whatever changes you make to the white cells on the first sheet will automatically populate to the weekly sheets. So whatever I make changes to on the first sheet, which if you look down here, it's the personal budget sheet, which is your main sheet. Then it breaks it down into week 1, 2, 3, 4, and there's a 5th week of expenses that you can, you just click on the little plus button and it will take you there. If I want to make changes to these categories here, I have to do them on sheet number 1. So for the income category, they had, well, first of all, I usually put my month in. So this is going to be the month of June. So I'm going to say June 2018. That just is for me, because sometimes, well, every time I print off my budget sheet and then I keep a running track 6 months at a time, and then I file those sheets. I just want to know what month I'm working on. So it has my income categories. And here's one thing that I've heard people say before. I don't know what my paycheck is going to be if you have irregular income. That's really irrelevant to filling out the sheet. All you have to do is fill out the sheet. Then you can put your income category in last. So that's usually what I do. So I didn't need some of these categories here. This is what came on the sheet. Salary, partner salary, public assistance, food stamps, and other. I don't get some of those things, so I'm changing this. For me, my salary is called payroll deposit. The next category that I put in was kids deposit. And what I recommend you do is download the sheet, give it a file name. That way you have your first sheet, you still keep that as your main sheet. So I do get child support for my children, so I count their income as separate income. The next thing I put on here for potential income sources is YouTube, and that's what we would know as Google AdSense. And then my next category, I have to travel sometimes for work, and they pay me mileage to drive. So I just put that in there. I don't always have that, but sometimes I do. And then the last thing category for my income I put in here was unexpected gifts, money, blessings, or funds transfer. If I'm having a hard month and I need to transfer money from my savings account into my checking account, I need to know that that was what I did. So now that I have my income categories set up the way that I need to, I'm not putting anything in these budgeted or actual categories. So my budgeted categories is what I think my budget will look like. Here I put my actual income after I get the income. So then I'm going to scroll down to my expenses. So for expenses, this is my living and housing, and I also had to change some things here. So I do not pay rent because I own my home. So I'm going to take rent out, but I am going to keep mortgage. And then I want to make a note to myself that I pay my mortgage online. That's an online payment for me. The next thing I have is my electric. That is also an online payment for me. Then I have water and sewer, but I don't pay sewer, so I'm taking that out. But I do pay this bill online. The next thing that I have is heat and AC, and I only left that there because I couldn't figure out another category to put there. Then I have my telephone and my telephone insurance, and this is my cell phone, and I do pay that online as well. Then we do not have cable, but we do have the internet, and I also pay that online. Now you don't have to write that in there. If you pay by check, you can put you can do PBC for pay by check, or you can just say check. I just like to keep a running tab of how I pay my bills. The next thing I have is for household repairs, but under that category also I have a handy lady. Yes, I do have a handy lady, and her name is Handy Mandy, and she comes to do repairs on my house. And when she comes, I will either pay her cash or PayPal. So let me say that. And I probably prefer to do cash, but sometimes I don't have cash, and she will take PayPal. So then I have homeowners association fees, and I pay that by check. And then the last one I have there is I have a little fella that comes over to cut my grass. So I put that in as lawn care, and I definitely pay him in cash. So those are my living expenses as it relates to my home. Then I have my regular payments. So I do have a student loan. So I leave that as student loan, and I do pay that online. The next thing I have, I do not have a credit card. I have Amazon Prime, and that is auto draft from my checking account. The next thing I have is PureFlix, which is just like Netflix, but it's a Christian base, and that is auto draft. The next thing I have is my Healthways, which is my gym membership, and that is also an auto draft. Now, the good thing about this sheet is once you set it up with the categories that you want and you save it with a file name, you don't have to set it up again. I will tell you to be very careful to make sure that when you're working in your sheet to save it and always close it. Because if you're like me and forget to close it, you might lose it and end up having to do it again. But once you put your categories in for the very first time and you save, you don't have to do this portion again. The next thing I have on my sheet is life insurance, and that is for my kids. I have a policy through my credit union, and that is a auto draft from my checking as well. That only comes out once a year. Then I am in seminary, and that is a PayPal. The next thing I have are 2 sinking funds. I just started doing sinking funds. One is for my post office box, and that's a cash category for us. I have another sinking fund, and that is for Gracie for her yearly exams or her meds or shots, and this is a cash category for us. And then my last regular payment is the kids take Taekwondo. Well, I take Taekwondo as well, and this is a square. I pay that with a square. So I've set up my second set of categories. Now I'm on my food categories. So I have groceries, which I'm keeping there. I have restaurant meals, which we don't eat out very often, but I like to keep it in there because I want to make sure that if I do go out to eat for meals, that I have a category for it. And then the last thing I have is Weight Watchers, because I do Weight Watchers online. And this is an auto draft from my checking account. And I don't have any other food categories there. The next category I have is personal expenses. So personal care, I leave it there. Hair and nails, we left it. Clothing, we left. Doctors, dentists, and then I ended up changing this and putting prescriptions here because it all made sense to put it together. And it freed up a space so I could do miscellaneous, and I made that a kids category. Then I'm also going to do a miscellaneous, and I made that a household, because sometimes I have miscellaneous expenses. Recreation and travel, I left that the same. For my other categories, I have Gracie. Gracie gets her own category. She's our puppy. And this is for her food, her bath, treats, or toys, depending on what she's getting that month. Normally it's just food and her bath. And then the last thing I have is my CVS couponing. Well, CVS and Walgreens. And this is a cash category. Gracie is a cash category. And so as it is, I just go through, and if I see something that I need to change or something I need to amend while I'm working on my budget sheet, I just do it now. And then if I need to, I can always change it up, but I want to make sure I get it set so I can save it, and then the categories are set for me. So the next category that I have is transportation. And for transportation, I have gas, auto expenses, and I do this as a debit weekly. I don't like to do cash because I have to get out of my car, leave, go into the place. I just rather do it this way. Then I put in for my oil changes. I usually do that as a cash category. I don't have to pay for parking, but I do have repairs, tire replacement, and if I have to do something for my car, I usually do that as a debit because it's usually a big expense and I want to know how much I'm spending. And then I have my license and tax. I usually do that as a debit because at the DMV or the licensing office, they will not take checks. Or if I'm saving up for a car, I'm putting in a category for car replacement. Now, after I have gotten done with my transportation, the last category that I have, which I really wish was the first category, is miscellaneous. And because it's blue, I can't change it. So what I have here is church tithe and offering, and I usually do that as a PayPal to my church. The next thing I have is a partnership to another ministry that my kids and I have, and I will either do a PayPal or check depending on the ministry. Then I have my savings. This is my emergency fund. So that's my emergency fund / funds transfer or a deposit if I'm paying something back that I had to transfer money out before. My next category is gifts, and then any blow money that I'm going to have for the month. And as blow money, I typically try to do cash only. If we think about it now, I'm going to pop this out so you can see. So now I have my worksheet, and of course, you know, this is just as you're looking at it. And I have all of my categories set. So now all of my categories are set for me, and I'm ready to roll. Now notice as I change those categories on the first page, it's changed my categories on my weekly sheet. So now they say the categories that I put on the first page. Okay, so if you're not sure what your payroll deposits are because you are irregular income, you do not have to fill out this section just yet. But I recommend or encourage you to fill out the other section so you can at least know how much you're going to possibly be spending. Now, if you have payroll deposit 1 because you get paid bi-weekly, you can do payroll deposit 1, you can do payroll deposit 2, or if you get paid weekly, you can do week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4. Make those income categories the income categories that work for your financial situation. So let's say I don't know what I'm getting paid right now. That's fine. But I'm going to move down to the things I do know and the things I can fill in. So I normally get a notification via my email for my bills because I pay them online and I'm going paperless. So I already know for the month that my mortgage is going to be $909.95. So I go ahead and put that number in. This month, my electric bill is going to be $84.74. It's going to be way cheaper than it was the last month. Also, for my water bill, it's going to be $51. Electric is $84.43. Apologies. My water bill is going to be $51.74. I know that because I got an email. So that's a non-category. For the last 2 months, I paid my son's cell phone bill because he pays my car insurance on the 6-month cycle. So I repay him by paying his cell phone bill, but I'm not paying his cell phone bill this month. So my cell phone bill has gone down, so it's back to $107. My internet bill is the same every month at $69.99. And for lawn care, I'm going to pay $60 because the little fella comes twice a month to cut my grass. So my living expenses are already calculated, even though I don't know what my monthly paycheck is going to look like or my weekly paycheck, because sometimes we don't get to view that in our employee portal until the week before or a couple days before we get paid. But I do know that I can put in my expenses. So now my student loan, I know it's the same, $156.10. It's the same every month. My Amazon Prime didn't change. It's the same every month. My my PureFlix is the same every month. My gym, Taekwondo, seminary, my sinking funds, my Gracie gets $10. Taekwondo for 3 of us is $325. Now this category right here is where I tend to not put a lot here because I coupon for a living. And I say that because I coupon like it's my job, because I know when my expenses are too much or my paycheck is not enough, I can always find coupons to lower my grocery bill. So I always wait till the end to do my groceries. But I do know that my Weight Watchers is $19.95. So that I can go ahead and put in because that is a fixed expense. It's not going to change. I don't have any personal care needs. I'm not buying any clothes. I don't have any miscellaneous, but I am traveling. This says recreation travel. I'm going to actually put their conferences, or entertainment, because that could be a lot of things. And I'm going to a conference in August, but I need to get my ticket now. So I'm going to a worship conference, and it's $100 because I missed the early bird. It was $85, but I missed it. Gracie's going to get $60, and then for my couponing, I give myself $10. Now, gas has gone up, so I'm going to have to up my gas to $120, and then based on my gross pay, I pay my tithe and offering. So for tithe and offering, I'm going to pay $485. And then my partnership ministry, I'm partnering $30 this month. So all in all, I have to have an income $2,700.27 just to meet my obligations for the month. So what I did was I went into my employee portal and I pulled out, because they had our paycheck listed for us. And so now I can go up to my payroll deposit and put in my payroll, $2,848.33. So my total income for the month minus any other income sources, because I don't have them yet. I never count kids' deposits until they come. And then what I do is I pay myself back for Taekwondo, because for the kids, it's $300. For mom, it's $25. So I can eat my $25, but I have to front load Taekwondo because kids' money doesn't come until after it's due. So what I'll do is go down now and see how much money I have left. So what I have left is $148.06. So the only category I did not fund that's mandatory is my grocery budget. So I'm going to go back up and put in for my grocery budget $148.06. Now, if all works out right according to my budget sheet, I should now have a equal balance. How much I'm getting paid plus how much I have going out is the same number. So I am at a zero-based budget. So that's how I normally do the budget. And then what I do is when I'm ready to start putting in my actual expenses, they go into my weeks. So I will click on week 1. I know that June 1st starts on a Friday. So I will go over to Friday, and then I will start putting in all of my bills for the month, because I know that June 1st starts on a Friday. So I'm going to say that I paid my mortgage $909.95. And then if I go to my first sheet, because I put my mortgage in on week 1 expenses, it populates for me in week 1, on my actual budget sheet. So all I have to do is put in the budgeted category, then revert to week 1 expenses, and it will calculate for you. So here are a few things that I recommend. Thing number 1, try it. Don't knock it until you try it. I always say you're stronger when you have information. And the information you need to know is how much you have coming in and how much you have going out. If you know those two things, you know where you can move things around in your budget. You know where you need to tighten the belt, or you can loosen it up a little bit. The second thing I would say is use a budget sheet. Use this budget sheet. It was a free download. Write it down on a sheet of paper. Put it in your notebook. However it works best for you, do that. But here, all the formulas are put in for you. You don't have to do any thinking. The only thing you have to do is change the categories to fit your household. The next thing I would say is have an accountability partner. I always tell my sister, if I make an extra payment on something, hey, I made an extra payment on something, or whatever my goals are for the month. For this next month in June, my goal is to pay off some extra debt, but I didn't put it on this sheet because I forgot. But the kids have summer camp coming up in June. So I know even though I want to pay off extra debt $400 has to go for summer camp. And fortunately enough, it will come around kids' deposit time, so I'll be able to pay for it, because clearly in what I make versus my expenses, I don't have enough for them to attend summer camp. It's the one camp they do every year, and it's the one camp they do in the summer. So I do want them to be able to do that. However, if I don't know what I have coming in versus what's going out, and I just said, okay, they can go to summer camp, they're going to be a little disappointed if I don't have the money to pay for it, or I'm going to come up short somewhere on my budget sheet. Things that are non-negotiable for us, because people ask me all the time, why do you pay so much to your church? I don't have to pay so much to my church. That's my choice. Tithing is our conviction. It's our belief system. It's our privilege to be able to do. And I know without a shadow of a doubt, if it had not been for the Lord to help me coupon, to help me get out of debt, to help me keep my mind when I was going through my divorce and separation, I would not be at this place now. So it's my honor and privilege to tithe and return to the Lord what He so graciously gives me. He gives me wisdom to use the amount that I have to take care of my household. And because He gives wisdom, my kids have never been hungry. They've always had a roof over their head. They have clothes on their back. We've had people who've been kind to us and bless us with different gifts and different things. That's why I have a category for it, because out of nowhere, random things just show up. We're thankful for everything that anyone gives to us. Before I even started doing this, little things would show up. There was a time when every month or so, grocery store gift cards would just show up on my front door. The kids and I were living in a 2-bedroom apartment. I had all 3 of the younger kids living with me. They were in the master bedroom suite. I was in the little small bedroom because we didn't have any, we didn't have any wiggle room. And now God has blessed us with a house, land. It may not be as much land as somebody else's, but this piece of land is ours, and I'm thankful for that. So it's a non-negotiable for me to tithe. If that's not your personal testimony or your personal conviction or belief, then you utilize your funds where you feel they best fit for your family. That's the only thing that I suggest. You look at what you have coming in versus what you have going out, and then you make the best choices you can for your family. Some months are tighter than others. Some months are not as tight, and we're thankful for whatever those months are. Lastly, I will say again, just try it. You don't have to be 100% on it every minute. I do tend to update my budget quite often because I want to know what I'm spending, and I want to know where I'm spending and what habits and behaviors I need to fix or stop or maybe increase. If I notice that I haven't bought the kids any new clothes over the last 3 months and they're growing, then I need to budget in for clothing. So I just have to be able, and I like to look at my sheet. I also print out a copy of my monthly, and then I print out a copy of my weekly. So what I'm doing there is I can track what days of the week I spend money, what days of the week, what weeks of the month I spend the most money, which is usually the first week of the month because I pay all of my bills. When I got my cash out, it just helps me keep a check and balance on my monthly budget. And it has worked well for me. So I'm going to get off of here. I do hope that what I explained was helpful to you. If you have any questions about budgeting, Dave Ramsey, or how I budget for a single income, single parent household, please leave me a comment below. If you're doing well and you have some suggestions that might help our family, please leave those below. We would love to hear from you. We're always honored when people decide to come by and hang out with us for a few minutes. Remember, there's always coffee in our kitchen. Thank you again so much for stopping by our channel. If you're new here, again, hit the red subscribe button. We'd love to keep you as a part of our YouTube community. Also hit the little bell. That way you never miss an upload from us. And please do give us a thumbs up. So until the next time we Dave Ramsey zero-based budget around here, bye now.